country. Number 2 Penn State comes to New Haven today after scoring 61 goals over their first 3 games of the season, but they've got a tough task in front of them this afternoon. The number 6 Yale Bulldogs are the defending national champions, coming off a heartbreaking 11-10 overtime loss last time out in the home opener against Villanova. Number 2 Penn State and number 6 Yale coming up next on ESPN+. From Reese Stadium in New Haven, Connecticut, it's NCAA men's lacrosse action as the number 2 ranked Penn State Nittany Lions come to town to take on the number 6 Yale Bulldogs. Hi everybody and welcome inside the press box here at Reese Stadium alongside Pat Reed. I'm Josh Hessen. Pat, this Penn State team that's coming to town this week, they're a freight train so far this season. 61 goals so far in 3 games.
Absolutely. They've come out of the gate and they are just excited. They've got a great offense that's just firing on all cylinders right now.
And the national polls have been reflecting that as well. Penn State up to number 2.
Yeah, after 3 really strong wins, it bumped them up to number 2 right behind Loyola.
And really, they're led by Grant Ament, who is just an assist machine, leads the country with 17 assists already this season.
Yeah, Grant Ament, he's an excellent attackman. He's not a big guy, 5'9", 165. He's going to dodge, draw the slide, and then look to find guys open in the middle. That's why his assist numbers are so high.
And on the other side, it's Yale's Jackson Morrill, who's really the point guard for this Yale team, and he'll have to battle up against Ament in today's matchup.
Yeah, Jackson Morrill, a much different style. He's a bigger guy, 6'1", 190. He's going to look to create that friction, make contact, get into the inside, and then find the feed or shoot from inside.
This is the 4th meeting between Yale and Penn State. Yale leads the all-time series 2-1. But, Pat, this is the first meeting between these two teams here at Reese Stadium. The last time they met was back in 2013 in an NCAA tournament round held at Penn State.
Yeah, huge game for Yale's history. That was really the first game under Shea that they won in the NCAA tournament, and it was really seen as a turning point for this program.
So these two teams are ready to face each other for the first time. 2013, the Bulldogs lost their season opener a week ago right here at home, an overtime defeat at the hands of Villanova. Andy Shea, of course, not too happy about that. He is in his 16th season at the helm for the Yale Bulldogs. Quite a winning record, and of course coming off last year's national title run.
Yeah, just a great job of turning this ship around and really getting this into be one of the best programs in the country.
And there's Jeff Tambroni, the head coach for the Penn State Nittany Lions. He brings them into today's contest with a 3-0 record. This is his 9th year at Penn State, but his 19th season coaching college lacrosse as he spent his previous 10 years here in the Ivy League with Cornell.
Yeah, he had such a great history at Cornell, and these are two teams that know each other, or coaches that know each other. They played each other coached against each other 8 times. 7-0 for Cornell. Tambroni was at Cornell, but 1-0 for Shea since he's gone to Penn State. Tambroni's been at Penn State.
So while Tambroni was at Cornell, he did make 1 NCAA title game appearance. So far, he hasn't had the same success making and staying in the tournament with Penn State. But right now, this team is one of the, if not the hottest team in the country, putting up 61 goals over their first 3 matches of the season and holding opponents to just 21. It's a tough task today for the Yale Bulldogs in their second home game, and it doesn't get any easier in the face-off X, though they do have T.D. Ireland. He has to go up against Gerard Arceri, who's one of the best in the business as well.
Absolutely. Gerard Arceri spent a lot of last season injured his hamstring and really wasn't 100%. Still managed to win 68% of his face-offs last year, and look at this to be one of the big storylines is how this matchup can go.
Well, face-off won by Penn State after the Yale violation. The Nittany Lions wearing their road dark blues with the white numbers and white helmets. The Bulldogs have their home whites on with the blue numbers and blue helmets with the script white Eli's across the side of the helmet. Already this is a Penn State team that tries to dominate and have dominated the face-off X, and that's how they start to roll on offense. They get in their rhythm before the opponent can, and right off the bat, Penn State's Jack Kelly opens the scoring less than 30 seconds into this contest.
And we looked at that matchup. We want to see that matchup of who is going to match up against Grant Ament, and it's Chris Fake. Ament gets a little step, and he's able to find Kelly in the middle.
Well, for Kelly, that's now his 7th goal of the season. He continues to rack up that total. Grant Ament, another assist. That is number 18 for him. 17 coming into today's matchup. 5.67 assists per game, first in all of college lacrosse, and he tacks on another just seconds into this contest. So really it all starts at the faceoff X for the Bulldogs. There's TD Ireland, who wins it for Yale. Bulldogs just need to try to disrupt this Penn State attack. They have been demolishing opponents in the first half of games, just taking them out before they can get into any rhythm. So the Bulldogs need to go goal for goal right now or try to outscore them.
Yeah, Yale needs to finish their shots. Last week, hit a lot of pipes, had the looks, were there, weren't able to finish them. And this week, they just need to, when they shoot, actually hit the net.
Jack Ty through traffic, finds Jackson Morrill behind the cage. Sessa in the middle, finds Gaudette, who's been dealing with the flu all week. Gaudette lost it, and now the Nittany Lions will run in transition.
Yeah, this Penn State defense, they are big, they're aggressive. Watch for them to slide quick and often and create a lot of pressure and a lot of challenges for this Yale offense.
So the first possession for the Bulldogs is empty. The first possession for Penn State resulted in the game's first goal. It's currently 1-0, just over 90 seconds played. We've got new offensive rules in college lacrosse this season. We touched on them last week, but in case you didn't catch the season opener for the Bulldogs or any of the first 3 games for Penn State, it's an 80-second shot clock now on all possessions. And the offensive team has 20 seconds to get the ball into the offensive half. Another rocket right across the crease from Mac O'Keefe. It's 2-0 Penn State.
Wow, and this Penn State team, they came out of the season and they're on fire, and they came out today. They have a lot of energy. They're playing with a lot of energy. This Yale team is subdued. They came out today and they were a little quiet, and we see Ament finds O'Keefe with a lot of room up top. He gets his hands free and he shoots. Yale's not going to be able to lose these guys off ball, or it's going to be a long day for him.
2 assists on 2 goals for Grant Ament. Mac O'Keefe has 1. Jack Kelly had the first for the Nittany Lions. 2-0, 2 minutes in. TD Ireland spent 2 years at the University of Albany before transferring to Yale. Wins another faceoff for the Bulldogs. Penn State won the opening faceoff, and the Yale Bulldogs have won the following 2 following the Penn State goals. Outside with Lucas Kotler, weaves his way in, and now goes behind the crease. Bulldogs need to respond and do so quickly. Morrill outside. Back across. Kotler thought about it. Now from the far side, gets matched up with the shot clock halfway done. Lost it. Can't scoop up the ground ball on his first attempt. Still a fight for it. Matt Gaudette finally collects for Yale.
And you see every time a ball's on the ground or somebody looks like they get a step, there's a Penn State defenseman sliding right to him and creating that pressure, getting good stick checks in there.
Tevlin to the right of Colby Canese, the keeper. Canese has had a great season as well. We'll hit on him in just a moment. Bulldogs continue to work the attack with just 10 seconds to go on the shot clock. Right in front, and a ripper scores for the Bulldogs. Lucas Kotler gets Yale on the board. It's 2-1.
Yeah, Lucas Kotler. Good movement there. Really long into that shot clock, and you'll see Ted Force get his step behind, and he sees nobody there to Kotler. He's able to step down and get a nice shot past Canese.
Really used the entire shot clock, nearly all 80 seconds for the Yale Bulldogs. Ted Force picks up the assist for Yale. That's his first assist of the season and the first goal of the year for Lucas Kotler, his 35th career goal as well. Cuts this Penn State lead in half, 2-1. Another face-off battle between Ireland and Arceri. And Ireland once again wins it. Arceri came into the matchup today, Pat, as the NCAA leader in face-offs won, but that may change having to go up against TD Ireland all afternoon.
Yeah, this is really probably the premier face-off matchup we've seen so far this season. Just 2 great face-off midfielders.
It's definitely one of the battles to watch, and of course what Grant Ament does offensively as well as Jackson Morrill. Here's Jack Ty for Yale in front. Swings across to Sessa. Joey Sessa underneath. Now it's with the point guard, Jackson Morrill. Ty again outside. Looks for an opening. Swings on net and finds the back of the net.
Jack Ty, 2 quick goals from Penn State. We really kind of had a feeling that they might go on a quick run, but the Bulldogs answer back with 2 of their own, and Jack Ty just gets a step, gets his arms free. He's such a dangerous shooter. That's his 99th career point. He is just free. It's tough to beat.
68 career goals for Jack Ty. He's got 31 assists as well. We'll see if he can get to number 100 in today's contest. It's now 2-2. Penn State scored 2 goals in the first 2 minutes. And so far, the Yale Bulldogs have done a great job winning faceoffs, controlling on the offensive end, and taking Penn State out of their offensive rhythm. In time, the violation committed by Gerard Arceri.
And that's huge. That's huge. Arceri gets the first win on a violation, and then TD Ireland wins 3 back-to-back on his own. And then he's able to force a violation against Arceri. Arceri's looking to counter, and he's trying to get that jump. So right now, TD Ireland has that advantage.
Arceri was the Big Ten Specialist of the Year last year. First team All-Big Ten as well, and a third-team All-American. Definitely not an easy competitor to go up against, but neither is TD Ireland. We'll be talking about it all afternoon because that matchup to start each possession will dictate the flow of today's match. Good ball movement from the Bulldogs. Shot, though, is blocked away. Nittany Lions have a chance to reclaim the lead as they move quickly. Nittany Lions into Yale territory with plenty of time to spare on the new shot clock rules. Two quick goals for Penn State. It's been a few minutes since they've had the ball on offense, but it doesn't seem like they've missed a beat.
Another area to look out is Yale's replacing 2 of their best short stick D-middies in the history of the program, in Jason Alessi and Tyler Warner. And last week the short stick D-middies struggled a little bit in dodges. So see how they match up today, and if they're having to force slides.
Penn State uses a lot of the clock. Arceri, Ament across, and he puts one behind Starr, and the Nittany Lions reclaim the 3-2 lead.
Great job by Ament, and right now he definitely has this advantage going against the All-American Chris Fake. Last year he was a freshman phenom, and Ament just doing a great job to get a step on. No slide comes, he's going to finish there.
Usually Ament is the assist man. He's got 19 assists on the season after assisting on the first 2. Now he's got his 6th goal of the year. He's got a point. Penn State has 3, and the Bulldogs have 2.
Oh, and that ball got stuck in the back of TD Ireland's stick there, so possession goes the other way.
Another violation on the Bulldogs to hand possession to Penn State. Well, talking with Jeff Tambroni during the week, he said that the way this Penn State team has become so dominant this year and has started to open up big margins is because they've controlled the ball so well offensively. Mac O'Keefe puts his second one behind Starr. Another assist for Grant Ament, and a beautiful bouncing shot that was too much for Starr to handle.
And they're playing with so much energy. They get out there, and this offense, Ament is he's beating Chris Fake easily now, just getting a lot of steps, and everybody's looking at him and losing guys off ball. O'Keefe there, you have to look out for O'Keefe. You almost wonder, Jeff Teat last night had a great game. You almost wonder if teams are going to start thinking, hey, do we need to start locking off Grant Ament? Because we have to keep him from getting the ball.
Still more than halfway to go in this opening quarter. 4-2, the Nittany Lions lead the Bulldogs. This is a new situation for Yale this season, Pat, because Andy Shea is coming off his first national title run for Yale. They started the season with the #1 ranking. They fell in overtime right here a week ago to Villanova, who had received votes in the previous poll, and now they've got #2 Penn State on their hands. It's really a new battle for Andy Shea, coaching-wise and for his players on the field.
Well, this is a very different team than we saw last year. Last year, every possession went through Ben Reeves. He really, for 3 years, another great shot from Jack Ty, but Colby Knies up to that. He's another guy having a great year. And a good clear from Penn State.
They've got it ahead with room to spare. Shot deflected, however. That was off the stick of Tommy Wright. Bulldogs retake possession.
Great job by Jack Starr backing up that shot.
Yale moves ahead quickly with Ty. He's got Sessa to his left, and that's where he goes. Now Brian Tevlin for Yale. Bulldogs content to work some clock, use the outside of the attacking zone. Now they'll start to press forward, and then another save for Colby Knies. Well, Knies is averaging under 4 goals allowed per game, which is best in all of college lacrosse. Penn State has allowed 21 goals on the season. There's Jack Starr picking up a save for Yale. They have allowed 21 goals on the year, but they have not all come with Knies in net. He's only allowed 9 goals the entire season.
Well, and after that last Jack Ty shot, Knies said something to him. I think he said, you got to give me a little bit better than that if you're going to try to score. High to high from a low angle.
And, of course, these teams haven't seen each other since 2013, but they both know where each other is ranked, and they know that they could see each other later on if they both stay hot. And tensions are running high right now for Yale. They don't want to start the year 0-2, especially with consecutive home games to begin the season. Turnover for the Bulldogs. Nittany Lions hope to move quickly. Bulldogs, though, able to reset before Penn State can really get going, and now the official stops play.
And Yale getting their right on trying to set up in something to force either an errant pass or just not make it easy for him. Good job on the clear for Penn State.
Under 6 minutes to play in the opening quarter. 6 combined goals thus far, 4 to Penn State, 2 to Yale. This is a very experienced group as well for the Nittany Lions. Pretty much everybody returns from last season. 4 of their top 5 point scorers are back. And one guy who didn't play last year due to injury had to redshirt. That's Grant Ament, who's already made a huge impact in today's game.
And we talk about rides. That's a great ride by Penn State there, almost forcing the turnover and maybe forcing the turnover. Great job. That's a lot of pressure coming from that attack.
Aiden Hines just got swarmed on defense for Yale, had nowhere to go. And eventually Penn State collected. 70 on the shot clock, plenty of time.
Penn State playing fast and loose. They're taking shots. If they get a shot, they're taking it. A lot of not really waiting to get into the shot clock like Yale has done. A little bit quicker with their progressions.
Here's Ament behind.
He's got Chris Fake hung up.
Bulldogs don't want him to create a play. Just content. Shot clock halfway down, now under 40. Ament outside, he gets double teamed. Now fires a pass right into traffic and a beautiful save from Starr down on one knee.
Yeah, that's a huge save from Jack Starr. And he has that capability. You look in the national championship game last year, he made a couple of saves that really nobody thought he should have made that were point-blank shots right like that. He's a guy that helps keep Yale in the game, something that they have not had as much in the last 4 or 5 years. I think his performance in that national championship game was really kind of overlooked. Those 2 beautiful saves that just really gave Yale momentum in the game. And you look at the game, it was a 2-goal game. Huge.
The close games are something that Penn State has not had at all this season. Their closest margin of victory is 10. Bulldogs hope to cut into the lead even more, down 2 goals with 3:30 to play in this opening quarter. Ty outside, weaves his way in. The shot just sails past the post. Bulldogs there for the backup and keep possession as the shot clock nears 20.
And Yale running a little bit different look on attack this week.
There's Sessa up top, but his pass doesn't find a teammate. Outside, shot clock now closing in on 10 seconds. Sessa again, pass to the middle. Gaudette rejected. That was a shot on net, so the shot clock resets, and a penalty flag in the air. Delayed penalty will go against Penn State.
A lot of time now, and this is a situation where you really just go for it. For me, I look at go hard to the goal, try to draw another penalty if you can't get a score.
Morrill battles for Yale. Pass to Gaudette. Bouncer is through, and the Bulldogs back on the board. It's now 4-3, Penn State on top.
Wow, Matt Gaudette, just the handles and the finish that this kid can do, just they never cease to amaze me. Catches it, kind of comes across his body, no angle, and just creates it. That is just a beautiful shot from Matt Gaudette.
Another assist for Jackson Morrill. That's his first of the contest. Now he's got 4 on the season. And we'll step aside with 2:40 to go. Bulldogs have cut into the lead. It's 4-3 Penn State in New Haven. Last time these two teams met was way back in 2013 at Penn State in the NCAA tournament first round. It was a 10-7 victory for the Yale Bulldogs, and Pat Reed, it was quite a comeback effort.
Yeah, 7-goal run for the Bulldogs. They were just on fire and really, like I said, a huge win for the program. First win in the NCAA tournament for Coach Shea, and really the building block for them winning the national championship last year.
Handsome Dan having a good time on this chilly Saturday afternoon in late February at Reese Stadium in New Haven, Connecticut. Standing room only as the number 6 Yale Bulldogs are hosting the number 2 Penn State Nittany Lions. With Pat Reed, I'm Josh Hess, and so far the game has lived up to the hype. 7 goals so far in the first 12 and a half minutes or so. 4 to Penn State and 3 to Yale. And of course, we get to watch this tremendous face-off matchup after every single one of them.
Yeah, absolutely. 5 wins right now for TD Ireland to 2 for Gerard Arceri. This is the matchup that we all were hoping for. And we're watching these guys go head-to-head on the face-offs.
Ireland last year had not just a career season, but an all-time great season in college lacrosse. Had a 791 face-off win percentage, won 359 face-offs at the University of Albany, 254 ground balls, all Division I records for a single season. And right now, Gerard Arceri, after being named Big Ten Specialist of the Year last year, is leading the nation in face-off win percentage, 79.6% this season. Bulldogs look to tie things right back up.
Right now, it's TD Ireland's performance, probably one of the most important, because it's keeping Yale in the game. You know, Penn State goes on a run, but TD Ireland keeps on winning those faceoffs, able to keep that possession. Penn State has really been able to, in the last couple of games, they're winning almost 80% of the faceoffs, so they're getting a lot more possessions.
They won the first faceoff against Yale this afternoon, and it resulted in a goal for Penn State. So far, the Bulldogs have done a nice job keeping pace. Right as it looked like Penn State was going to walk all over Yale with a 2-goal early lead, the Bulldogs have not given up and have started to dominate possession late in this first period. Bulldogs just hoping for some daylight right in front of the net now, but nowhere to go.
And a really impressive performance from this Penn State defense. They are big and they are aggressive.
Here's Morrill, now back outside with Tevlin. Tevlin gets a screen across the net. His shot goes too high. Morrill there to back it up for Yale with 25 seconds on the shot clock, 58.1 on the game clock. Coming up in this second quarter of action, we'll be joined by Greg Gurunlian, former Penn State face-off great. Also one of the great players in Major League Lacrosse.
I'm going to be really excited to see him come back. Wow, Devlin with a rocket. We're going to be excited to see Granlund come out of retirement this year with the Premier Lacrosse League, but let's look at this goal from Brian Tevlin. Everybody's ball watching Jackson Morrell. The slide half comes out to Tevlin, who's step down shot. What a fantastic shot.
Ties this match up at 4, just a screamer right past Colby Canese. The equivalent to a one-timer in hockey, just a dominant shot from Tevlin to knot things up at 4. 40.6 seconds to play in this first period. Who will head to the second with a little bit of momentum? Another face-off win for TD Ireland. He continues to dominate the inside. That was Jake Glatz. Gerard Arceri got a break that time. Still results in a win for Ireland, and now the Bulldogs hope to capitalize in the final 20 seconds of this first quarter.
Well, if Tambrody's switching up the face-off matchup, he's kind of seeing TD Ireland's having a really good game. He's really pushing it, so they need to get a possession. They're recognizing that.
That's something that Penn State has not faced at all this season. Will they face a first quarter deficit? Not right there. And that is how the first period comes to an end in New Haven. A back and forth affair between Yale and Penn State, and we're all knotted up at 4 after 15 minutes of play. 2 Penn State and number 6 Yale. Handsome Dan enjoys what he saw in that first quarter of play. Penn State got out to a lead. Yale clawed their way back and went back and forth. And Pat, it was really exciting action, and Yale did something that Penn State isn't really used to this season, and they dominated the Nittany Lions at the face-off X.
TD Ireland, you see why he was the biggest transfer in my recent memory of a guy who's coming in, because he can control and change the course of a game with his ability at the face-off X.
Well, we're set to go for second quarter action between these two top 10 programs. See if they can continue the hot play in this second 15-minute span. Gerard Arceri is back in the face-off X to face off against TD Ireland. Ireland won the final face-off in the first quarter, and that was against Jake Glatz, the sophomore, but it's the junior Arceri back in, and of course Arceri has a ton more experience in the face-off X.
And these guys both have an interesting style of they get in there, they clamp it, they win it to themselves. We haven't seen very many balls that have gone out to and been wing play possessions, something that really helped Villanova last week against Yale. When they were able to get it, they were kicking it out to the wings, and it became a 50-50 ball.
And Villanova is a common opponent between these two teams. Penn State beat Villanova in their season opener 17-7. That's the closest game the Nittany have played all season long, was that 10-goal victory. Bulldogs look to take their first lead of the afternoon right here in the early stages of this second quarter. That would put Penn State in a position they have not been in this season. A lot of ball movement from the Bulldogs just to try to find an open lane, but this Nittany Lion defense is doing a great job of blocking everything off.
Great job of ball movement, trying to create an open seam, and they're just really great footwork and positioning from the Penn State defense.
Well, even though Villanova is a common opponent between these two teams, Jeff Tambroni midweek said that he was not really looking to last week's game between Yale and Villanova for tape or for anything to take away. He wasn't going to compare Penn State's performance against Villanova with Yale's performance against Villanova. It was Yale's season opener last week. They had to get the rust out, and now he's expecting a much different team. And overall, Pat, I think we've seen a more aggressive Bulldog squad in week 2.
Yeah, and they're a very kind of unusual drop pass. Great feed from Ament. And Chris Fake able to come up with that important ground ball.
Tevlin heads across the midfield stripe for Yale to reset the offense. Bulldogs again, but another save from Colby Canese.
Yeah, I think Jackson Morrell's going to want that one back. Colby Canese didn't have to move to make that save, and against a goalie that's this good, you're going to have to not only get your hands free, but you're going to have to change the planes. You're going to have to get him moving side to side a little bit more than that.
Knies has stopped roughly 81% of shots he's faced this season. Under 4 goals allowed per contest so far this season. Best in all of college lacrosse. This is also a different start to the second quarter for Penn State than what we saw in the first quarter, Pat. At this point, they had already notched 2 goals against the Yale defense.
Yale settled in. Like I said, they came out. They seemed a little subdued. They just played calm, and that's one of the things. One of the mantras is reset every play. You play, and then you once it's done, you reset, and you have a new. You look at it as a new game.
Nittany Lions now increase the pace of play on offense. Ament, really physical play, now had an open look for a moment before firing back into the middle. Under 10 seconds now on the shot clock. Nittany Lions need to make a move right in front, and Starr picks up the loose ball.
Great defense, and we saw a switch up on defense with Will Weitzel going up against Grant Ament. Definitely a matchup that was much more successful for the Yale Bulldogs. But Weitzel comes off the field and gets some water real quick. That was a real challenge for him.
Long defensive possession there for the Bulldogs. We saw the Yale offense run the shot clock down nearly all the way, and it resulted in a goal. But this time the Yale defense was up to the task. And right on cue, Matt Gaudette bounces one home, and the Bulldogs take a 5-4 lead.
Great ball movement from Yale. You saw that Penn State defense kind of suck in a little bit, and that leaves Matt Gaudette wide open from about 10 yards.
It's taken roughly 19 minutes for Yale, but they've got their first lead of the contest, 5-4 over the number 2 ranked Nittany Lions. Now that's what you talk about, Pat. You want to go high to low, try to throw off what the goalkeeper is seeing throughout the match, and that time Colby Knies, just too much for him to handle on the bouncing shot from Matt Gaudette. Back to the face-off X with Ireland and Arceri. And once again, TD Ireland controls. It's just like watching a clinic time and time again with TD Ireland in the end.
Just keeps on winning it to himself. Good possessions and giving Yale the possession. And that's the best thing that this team can do to slow down the Penn State offense is get a possession off the faceoff, get into the shot clock, keep their offense from the ball. Once they get going, they become a clinic, and they're a fast break clinic. So you want to make sure that you slow them down.
Well, when you talk about slowing down this freight train of a Penn State offense, it has not been easy. Over the last 2 games, the Penn State offense has had runs of 12 and 15 straight goals against opponents. That's something the Bulldogs can't afford to see this afternoon, and right now they're controlling the pace of play. Lost ball from Kotler, fight for the ground ball, and Lucas Kotler is right there to recover with 20 seconds to shoot. Just in front, shot goes in, sneaks by Knies, and the Bulldogs are now up 2. Brendan Rooney connects on the goal.
Wow, Brendan Rooney. Now, last week we saw Matt Brandel starting an attack. This week, Brendan Rooney, another inside finisher, very talented, off-ball movement, finds the open spot, and a great job finishing in close.
Great goal from the Bulldogs to go up 2. Timeout on the field. Just under 10 minutes to go in the first half from New Haven. Back in New Haven, Connecticut, 6-4. The number 6 ranked Yale Bulldogs lead the number 2 ranked Penn State Nittany Lions. It's been quite a battle back and forth so far, and really TD Ireland has done a great job, Pat Reed, dominating in the face-off X, and that's helped Yale stop the early Penn State momentum.
Well, yeah, Penn State doing their best to stick with it, but TD Ireland's been so dominant.
Well, now before we get going, following the timeout on the field with 9:55 to play, we're happy to be joined by Greg Garunlian in the booth with us, a member of Team USA Lacrosse, as well as the founder of the Face-Off Academy. Greg, how are you this afternoon?
I'm great, man. This is one heck of a venue here.
Well, you get a chance to see a top 10 matchup between Yale and Penn State, and you're a face-off guy. Of course, one of the most dominant face-off players in the history for this Penn State Nittany Lions team, and you get a chance to watch from a bird's eye view right now of two very competent face-off attackers with Gerard Arceri in blue and TD Ireland in white. What do you like so much about what these guys do in the X?
Well, I mean, I'm here as a fan. I know these guys very well. Worked with Jerry for years out in Long Island. But, I mean, they do it the right way. They're super athletic. They embody everything face-off now. It used to be, you know, kind of like the frumpy weirdos in the corner that cheated. Now it's all about super athletes, and these guys are both super athletic, and they have the whole package.
Bulldogs threatening once more. They've taken a 2-goal lead, nearly made it 3, but the ball ricochets back out into the midfield area, saved by the Bulldogs, and now the referee says it went back across and over and back.
I actually said he gave offside. He said Chris Fake actually crossed the line there, set it on an offside.
So an offside, hands possession back to Penn State. Some very exciting action following the timeout. Bulldogs couldn't increase the lead, and now the Nittany Lions are threatening right in front. But, Greg, it's been a while since you've been on the college lacrosse field, and not to age you at all, but what do you see differently in the modern, not necessarily modern, but in today's day of lacrosse between two high-powered programs?
Everything's different. Everything's different. I was just talking to one of the parents down in the stands. I'm like, how much better is this sport right now with the shot clock, the dive? You know, we have twice as many shots going in the first quarter than we might have had, whether, you know, if there wasn't a shot clock. The sticks are better. The athletes are bigger, faster, stronger. I mean, it's improved. It's getting better every year.
You talked about the athleticism that you need in the face-off X with TD Ireland and Gerard Arceri, but you've also got some other super athletes on both sides. Jackson Morrill, Grant Aments, who we've been focusing on throughout the matchup today, two of the best passers and overall ball handlers in all of college lacrosse, as well as some very competent scorers. Mac O'Keefe has a pair already. Matt Gaudette has a pair.
So Greg, quick question. We see TD Ireland having a really great day. What can Gerard Arceri do to kind of counter that and bring things back?
Yeah, so right now what's interesting, things people don't talk about at the next level with this, Gerard, when he clamps, his helmet comes up in the air. He uses all of his body weight onto his right hand. His right arm gets straight. So he doesn't have as much leverage low. The head he is using is relatively flimsy compared to the head that TD's using.
Okay.
We got a penalty down on the field, leads to a man-up opportunity.
Yeah, a push with possession on the clear there. Just needed to get a little bit more of the sideline, but let's see what this Penn State man-up offense can do.
We'll go back to the face-offs here, Greg, and of course with Penn State now in control and a man-up opportunity, but you could still talk about just the dominance that TD Ireland has and how Arceri can slow him down.
Yeah, I mean, TD goes low. He's a wrestler. You can see all of his body weight shifting low onto that ball. So he's getting the edge on impact. When they both meet their heads at the same time, all of his body weight's going into it, and that's how he's being able to get to his feet and get out. The one thing Gerard has to do is when he does get the ball, he's got to vary his exits because TD is so good at getting to his feet and affecting the exit of Gerard.
Well, the man-up opportunity for Penn State is for naught. The Bulldogs' defense comes through in a big interception right at the end from the captain, John Danagelis, to stop the Nittany Lion attack. Bulldogs right back in it. Once again, we're joined by Greg Garunlian, member of Team USA Lacrosse, the founder of the Face-Off Academy, and, of course, a former Penn State Nittany Lion. Gets a chance to watch his number 2 team in the country. And overall, Greg, it's been a great rise for Penn State this season. Their goal differential, they're outscoring opponents by 40 through the first 3 games. What do you like about Jeff Tambroni's team this year?
I love their team going into last season, but then, you know, injuries just riddled this roster. Guys who usually play midi were playing attacked. Close D guys were playing LSM. So now everyone's healthy. And, you know, you got everybody back. They got great chemistry. And they can do everything. And I think they really were looking forward to this as their signature win to really show people, yes, we're undefeated, but we're legit.
And on the other side for Yale, it's never easy to come back with a huge target on your back. National champions last year, preseason number 1. How can this team keep their heads up after an overtime loss last week?
I think because they can remember where they've been. You know, last year they didn't go undefeated and win a championship, right? You're going to lose games. And I think, I think TD actually embodies kind of Yale very well because TD gets every face-off guy's best effort every single week. And Yale is now used to that. Yale has now played a season where they've won a championship, and now they're going to get everyone's best shot. And I think it goes right down the roster. They're used to this.
Short time on the shot clock, 4 seconds left. They need to get a shot off.
The Bulldogs just have no shot clock awareness, and the 80-second timer is up. A great stand from the Penn State defense.
A couple of good shots, didn't connect to reset that shot clock. They were able to get the ball on the end line, but if they can't hit the net, it's a great way for this Penn State defense to get the ball back.
It's been a long time since the Nittany Lions have scored. And scoring is what they've done so well this season. Mentioned it a few moments ago, but they've gone on runs of 12 and 15 consecutive goals against opponents in their last two contests. So far today, the most they've strung together in a row against Yale were the opening 2 goals. Nittany Lions now find themselves down a pair. Shot ricochets all the way back out past the midfield stripe.
So, Greg, big news from you this year, coming out of retirement, which many of us are very excited about, excited to see what you can do in the PLL.
Oof.
Shot goes just high from Dylan Folds.
Well, I tell people I'm still technically retired from the MLL. I never came out. I'm not farving it. Just something new came along that I thought is pretty special, that I wanted to be a part of it. So I got the blessing from my wife, and I'm going for it.
Very exciting time in lacrosse right now.
Yeah, it's great. And people are talking about professional lacrosse more than they ever have right now, which is cool. And you'll see TD and Gerard one day for sure playing in one of those 2 leagues, absolutely.
Got another shot clock violation, one on the Yale end, another on the Penn State end, back and forth. The Bulldogs have scored 2 goals in this quarter. Penn State has been held to 0 thus far, and this could be the best 15 minutes of play we've seen from Yale all season long if they can close it out over the final 4 minutes, Pat.
Yeah, and this is not the game that I expected with the way Penn State has been scoring. This is a really great job from this defense to come together and figure out what to do against a really potent offense.
I think it'll be interesting when you're a Penn State offense and you're used to winning close to 80% of your faceoffs. If this changes them, if it makes them a little bit more white-knuckled on offense, I'm not sure. And also to see how Gerard does. You know, can he fight back with this?
Well, that was something that Jeff Tambroni mentioned midweek, is that they've just had the luxury of controlling the faceoffs, dictating the tempo on offense, and they have not had that situation yet today against Yale. And Greg, as a former faceoff great, and you know that you have to go up against a guy like TD Ireland, we already talked about how do you slow him down, but how do you stay mentally fit throughout the game when he's winning maybe 70, 80%?
Yeah, I always tell the guys I coach, you have from the time you lose to the faceoff to the time you get to the sideline to feel sorry for yourself. Then as soon as you get to that sideline, it's time to be analytical and not emotional. So knowing Gerard, he's spending every time he's on the sideline right now, he's not wondering what his stats are. He's focused on what is TD doing better than me and what can I do better. And that's why I really think in the second half you're going to see a much closer battle, because he'll adapt.
Had a battle back and forth defensively over the last few minutes. Bulldogs hope to break this stalemate and go up by 3 goals as they charge on offense. Ty neared the crease and just fires one wide. Yale backs it up.
It's still, for me, real interesting with this Yale offense. You have Ben Reeves graduate, and just looking at, nobody's really being that one guy. It's everybody working together. Everybody's contributing here.
Ground ball picked up by the Nittany Lions, and a struggle to keep possession. It's lost right away. Chris Sabia, the captain, couldn't hang on and hands the ball right back to Yale with a fresh shot clock.
Penn State's poles have slid upfield a few times in this game and came away with turnovers. It's been pretty cool to watch.
And now we've got a timeout called by the Bulldogs with 2:12 to play. They lead the Nittany Lions 6-4 in a top 10 battle in New Haven. We'll stay here during the timeout and take a look at some of the defensive highlights for the Bulldogs. We'll leave this open. Pat or Greg, whatever you guys see, feel free to walk us through it.
Well, there's John Danigelis with that great pickoff in the man-down defense. Getting your sticks in the lane, something that Yale is really great at doing. Coach Baxter just does such a great job. And that one almost looked like it went in on that shot.
Yeah, you could tell that LSM's coming up the field. He really wants to slow play that and get the ball on offense because they haven't had it in a while. But the goal was, I mean, no one slid, so you have to take that shot. That was just bad luck.
Well, we've got a timeout here, and one thing that you mentioned a few moments ago, Greg, is once you get to the sideline, then you have to start game planning. And you look at a sport that's fairly similar in football, and there, when the offense isn't on the field, they can look back at what the drive was last time, pictures of what worked, what didn't work. But here you don't necessarily have that luxury in college lacrosse. So if you are Arceri or Ireland waiting for that next face-off to happen, how can you, instead of just picturing it in your mind and trying to remember what happened exactly, what do you do specifically to learn and get better?
In-game adjustments are interesting. That's why I've always told guys when it comes to face-offs, you should know everything about your opponent before the game. So it becomes less about trying to figure out what he's doing and more about what you're not doing, right? So for Gerard, he can go out there and sit there right now and think, okay, you know, the head I'm using, maybe I use a stiffer head. Or when I go out there on the whistle, I need to make sure I get my body weight down instead of bringing my helmet up. Like, those are very minor adjustments that he can make. So I think he's studied enough film. He knows TD well enough. These guys take reps together. They're friendly, like in the off season. Like, I think it's about just him making sure he's doing things that work the best for him right now.
Once again, we've got Greg Garunlian on the broadcast with us. Team USA lacrosse member, founder of the Face-Off Academy, former Penn State Nittany Lion, and just one of the all-time face-off greats. Gets a chance to watch two of this generation's face-off greats in Gerard Arceri and TD Ireland this afternoon in a top 10 NCAA men's lacrosse matchup.
I remember last year when I went to the Denver versus Albany game, TD versus Trevor Baptiste. And, you know, both teams were used to winning 80% of their faceoffs. In that game, they split right down the middle. Albany just seemed to handle better the feeling of not winning 80% of the faceoffs. So it'll be interesting to see if Penn State can do the same.
Following the timeout called by Yale, they had 70 on the shot clock, now down to 60. Bulldogs lead by 2 over this Penn State team that has been rolling over opponents to start the season. A perfect 3-0 record and the number 2 ranking. And that shot sails well wide, but backed up by Yale. Shot clock doesn't reset. It's at 51. Early season top 10 matchup between these two teams. If you missed it last week, Yale is coming off a crushing overtime defeat on this field. That came at the hands of an unranked Villanova squad to knock Yale off the number 1 tower. And now Penn State has slid by Yale. They're number 2. Bulldogs dropped down to number 6, but that can all change. 90 seconds to play in this first half.
Greg, as a Penn State alum, how excited are you? This year's exciting, but you look at this roster and the guys that are playing. You've got Sabia on defense, who's a senior. You've got Spillane and the midfield, a senior. And really most of the rest of that team, they're all coming back next year. How dangerous are they going to be next year?
Well, you know, I mean, Coach Tambroni has done an unbelievable job. I'm still in contact with a lot of guys I graduated with at Penn State, and it's just incredible the transformation that's happened. Penn State is a viable top recruiting destination for some of the best guys in the country. And, when I was playing at Penn State, we would steal a good recruit here, there, but you usually got guys from PA or guys that their parents went to Penn State. So, I mean, they're going to be fine. And when Coach Tambroni and his staff have healthy guys, they can do wonders. And Penn State recruits itself. So what Coach Tambo looks for in the recruiting trail are guys that fit his mold, blue collar, guys that want to go out and get into a fight like this. And I think that's why this game is so interesting, because both rosters are very similar. They're both filled with guys that like to get into a fist fight. And I just love this. And the coaching staffs are very similar. They like this blue-collar style of lacrosse. And that's why, it's great to be able to say that your program that you played in is starting to mirror a program like Yale. And that's what makes it so exciting, because we belong on this field now, which is great.
Yeah, just such a great job. And I'm always impressed with Coach Tambroni. I mean, you look at what he did at Cornell and just had this amazing program, and then took the Penn State opportunity and really kind of had to create a whole culture. And people think, that it's Penn State. He should have been winning by now. But you look at Yale. I mean, the similarities between the program of having to turn the ship around and really just build from the ground up and build those teams. It's unbelievable what he's done.
Yeah, you got to build recruiting pipelines. You got to, the alumni I know, we are very grateful because we feel like we show up at alumni weekend. Every kid, even a freshman who's been on campus for 3 months, knows everything about every alumni. It's so impressive. The style of play is important, but the caliber of the young men that he's bringing in, it's even harder to build a winner when you want every kid to hold a standard both on and off the field like that, which is great.
Following the timeout, 60 seconds on the shot clock, just over 1:10 on the game clock. Final 60-plus seconds of the first half. Bulldogs lead the Nittany Lions 6-4. This is not a spot Penn State is used to. They're averaging 20 goals per game and holding opponents to just 7 over 60 minutes of play. Low ripper is saved by Starr. Second chance opportunity. Starr up to the task once more. 45 seconds on the clock. Then if the Bulldogs played it smart, tough break there. Whoa. And a rolling goal from Mac O'Keefe, his third. And the Nittany Lions are back within 1.
Woo! Oh.
Greg,
top 10?
Seemed like you liked
top
that
10
one.
tonight? That's effort, man. Riding.
Great individual effort there. Gets the pickup and the ground ball.
And then being calm. I mean, you got 4 guys ready to eat your lunch.
I'm just surprised that they didn't.
Yeah.
He was able to get right on the mouth of the goal and not take a body. And you see Chris Fake was leaving his feet there, and just O'Keefe, just such great moves.
Here's one more chance at the face-off X, and it's another win for TD Ireland. That time Nick McAvoy joined him. So the Bulldogs, with roughly 30 seconds to play, can hold and try to get the final shot of this first half. It's now a 1-goal game after a turnover led to Mac O'Keefe's third of the contest.
It'll be interesting because number 21, we call him Box, that's his nickname. Oh!
And a shot from Yale right in the back of the net, and they increase the lead back to 2 goals. Another one for Brendan Rooney, connects on his second.
McAvoy taking faceoffs is really athletically at getting to his feet, so that might be an option they go to down the line. What Penn State's got to be careful about is you're losing faceoffs. You don't want to panic and start just rotating 3 guys out there into a meat grinder against someone who has rhythm with the cadences.
Well, and a great shot by Rooney, but then right after the shot, which is not a good thing that you see, that he goes down without any contact. And let's hope that that's just.
I thought it was a celebration at first.
Yeah, but went down to the ground, and you never want to see kind of a non-contact thing. And we'll see if he's able to come back in.
Now see here, Gerard's head straight up in the air. TD was low. And I think that's just that motion over and over again on the 50-50, combined with the fact that TD has a stiffer head, is making it really hard for Gerard.
An exciting final minute of this first half, a goal apiece, and we head into halftime with Yale leading Penn State 7-5. Greg, thank you very much for joining us for a majority of the second quarter. Great to have you on, and great to get some insight, and best of luck in your coming season, now quote-unquote out of retirement.
Thanks a lot, guys. Appreciate it.
Bulldogs lead the Nittany Lions 7-5 at half. You're watching the Ivy League on ESPN+. How do you replace Ben Reeves? Well, that was the big question for Andy Shea and the Yale Bulldogs coming into this 2019 season. The defending national champions, you can see there, just one of the all-time greats for the Yale Bulldogs, led them to a national title last season, and now the Bulldogs are trying to fill that void.
Yeah, and you can't, no one player is going to come in and put up 174, 142 assists, 316 total points. He was such a dominant player. He was so big and so fast, and he just created so much. And I think what we're seeing is this Yale team, it's everybody else stepping up and contributing to the game. So you're seeing a lot of guys, a lot of scoring from the midfield, a lot of dodging from the midfield. You're not seeing it just, hey, Jackson Morrill's going to get the ball and he's going to be the only guy. Yeah, he's got a couple of points, but you're seeing all these other guys say, this is our team, we all have to be a part of this. And I think it's going to really just benefit them as the season goes along, as they gel, and they're not looking to Ben Reeves to be that guy to create the offense.
Ben Reeves, the 4th overall pick in the draft this past year, a 3-time All-American as well. Very tough to fill that void, but as we've been talking about through the first game and a half that Yale has played, this season. It's just a group of guys that have to do it instead. Everybody's got to step up a little bit. It's very similar to what Penn State had to go through last year, Pat, when Grant Ament missed the entire season with injury. They had to have some other players step up, and now that Ament is back this year, everybody's running on full throttle, fast-paced offense, and they're ready to rock and roll with one of their star players back from injury.
Yeah, you create that challenge. You make things become more difficult. You rise to that adversity. You fight through it, and then wow, you get this guy. You get your best offensive player back, and it just takes your team to a whole new level.
Set to go for the third quarter here in New Haven. Bulldogs lead the Nittany Lions 7-5. Penn State having their lowest scoring output of the season by a large margin. They're averaging 20 goals per game. They've scored 17, 27, and 17, and now just 5 over the first 30 minutes. T.D. Ireland and Gerard Arceri back at it in the face-off X. Yale in the home whites, Penn State in the road blues.
And Arceri doing a much better job of tying this up where it's not going to be something that's probably going to be easily, cleanly won out. You might see the wings actually have to get into it here, and that's why you see these wing midfielders just fighting around and forcing each other left and right.
Neither man in the face-off X conceding a centimeter to the opponent. You can see how hyped the two sidelines are as well. This is a war of attrition right now, Pat.
Yeah, and the crowd is getting into it. They want a ball out clean, and here comes TD. And this fires up the Yale sideline. I have not seen that much excitement out of these Yale Bulldogs today, so a big win there for TD Ireland.
That ate up roughly 40 seconds of game time just for Ireland and Arceri to go at it. Would have loved to have Greg in the booth with us for that face-off to get his thoughts. It was great to have Greg Runlian with us for a majority of that second quarter. One of the all-time Penn State greats and face-off greats. First shot for the Bulldogs in the second half is saved by Knies.
Great stop by Knies there. Saw the ball coming all the way, was able to find find Ty out top and really get a good sight line on that ball.
Well, what the Nittany Lions are used to doing is controlling the attack off the face-off, running their offense, keeping the opponent on their heels before the opponent can get into a rhythm. Penn State is usually up a few goals, but today they find themselves down 2 starting the second half of play, but right through Jack Kelly for his second, sliced right down the middle and put the ball just past Starr.
And that looks like a carbon copy of that goal from the start of the game where he just cut right down the middle. Ament does a great job switching direction. And Brian Ward, he lost his man in the front because he was looking to slide to help Chris Fake out. And he can't get stuck ball watching. He's got to stay with his guy. We know the player that Grant Ament is, and he is a feeder. You've got to be there and try to keep the off-ball players covered so that he doesn't have somebody to feed to. Make him shoot and beat you. He's a great shooter, but make him shoot. 4th
assist for Grant Ament. This Penn State team coming into today had 38 assists. That's on 62% of their goals scored were assisted. Grant Ament has 4 for Penn State. Jackson Morrill has 4 assists already for the Bulldogs. Mac O'Keefe had a hat trick for the Nittany Lions in that first half to lead all scorers with 3 goals. Bulldogs now, shot rejected from Brandaw. A fight on the other side, and the Nittany Lions scoop up the ground ball originally, and then it goes right back to Yale.
But Chris Fake loses the ball, and it goes back to the Nittany Lions. And I'll tell you, early in that play, Penn State got really lucky because Ament actually went off sides. He got fighting for the ball, got pushed off sides, and the refs didn't see it with the ground ball down there. And a big possession here for Penn State to kind of really take this momentum back that Yale had for that whole second quarter.
Senior Nick Spillane finds his teammate Jack Kelly before getting it right back. Ament behind the cage. Fires outside. Nittany Lions again threat for an attack. Ament for Kelly once more. Ball on the ground, scooped up by Yale, and now they'll run in transition. Here comes Brian Tevlin. Tevlin up ahead, coast to coast, stopped by Knies.
And now Penn State going right back the other way.
Physical play underneath. Spillane got knocked down to the turf, and there is a penalty flag.
And that one is just, that's one that kills you because it's not, he just stopped, and Tevlin, head of steam running down the field, just kind of bumped him and he fell down. But it's a push. It's a good call by the ref.
So that penalty upcoming depending on how Penn State finishes off the offensive possession. Shot clock halfway done, down to 40 seconds. Yale defense staying strong. Here's O'Keefe outside, weaves his way through. Shot knocked away. And finally goes out, and now we'll have that man-up opportunity for Penn State with 10:52 to play in the third quarter.
And a 30-second push.
Yale penalty, a push for 30 seconds. Number 12.
That was called on Brian Tevlin, just like you saw, Pat.
And a short, 30-second penalty. So what can Penn State do? Is this Yale man-down defense did a good job the last time.
Penn State scoring on half of their man-up opportunities so far this season. 4 man-up goals. Right around the cage, a lot of passing, and a bouncer just past Starr. That's O'Keefe for his 4th goal of the contest.
Great ball movement by Penn State on this play. Get the defense moving, getting him out of position. Boom, it ends up going to Ament, and he's able to go right across to the far player. And
check that, Dylan Folds connects on the goal. The redshirt junior scores his first. O'Keefe still at 3, and we're tied up at 7 with 10:37 to play.
And at some point here, you got to wonder if Penn State is going to be able to win these faceoffs. TD Ireland's been automatic.
He went 12 of 14 in the first half, and Ireland wants to do it himself. First goal of the season for TD Ireland.
TD Ireland, and that's just a dangerous thing. You get a faceoff guy who wins it cleanly, gets out, and just great running, not able to get a step on him, and high to low, change of plane. Nobody slides to him. If I'm Penn State, I'm going to slide to him early. Yeah, they may score, but at least you got to get a body on TD Ireland because maybe that'll slow him down on the next faceoff.
I loved how Greg characterized him as a wrestler. He's just so physical in the faceoff X, and then has that athleticism to pick up the loose ball, just run coast to coast. And TD Ireland, well, he was a very successful wrestler in high school, 161 career wrestling wins during his 4-year high school career. So he's not afraid for a battle in the face-off X. Had one to start the second half. We've got one following the Yale goal to regain the lead. Now a fight for the ground ball, still loose, and the Bulldogs scoop it up just as Penn State thought they finally could beat Ireland.
Hey, won the ball out, won it clean, but Ireland just does a great job of tying him up and not letting him get to that ground ball, and that's where we talk about the wing play. That was something that last week Yale really struggled with, where Villanova did a fantastic job on the wings and was able to get those balls. Penn State's got to just hope that something starts clicking on these faceoffs.
Denigelis outside to Gaudet. Now Sesso weaves his way through, behind for Brandaw. Ground ball just in front of the Penn State bench. Still loose, and the Bulldogs use 3 players to get there, but the official calls a foul on Yale and hands the ball back to Penn State.
Yeah, loose ball push. Sends the ball for Penn State. And now this is where Chris Fake, he's got a lot of room here where he's got to go after. This is where he should be going after Ament. You've got him way out there at the midfield. Go and get all over him, because you have room where people can come and slide and help. But Grant Ament from X, especially when they're working a little 2-man game, has been just so effective against Chris Fake today.
Nittany Lions rotate some new players on. Cole Willard right now 28 in blue now finds Ament behind the cage. Shot clock down to 30 for the Nittany Lions. They trail 8-7, 8:40 to play in the third quarter.
And this is freshman Bryce DeMuth against Ament.
Ament's shot hits the bar and ricochets wide.
Great job by DeMuth, a freshman against one of the best guys in the country. And then a little people yelling because the clock wasn't reset on that shot.
Officials got it right, did reset. O'Keefe dives through. Penalty flag up. That is part of the new rules.
Now here's going to be the flags come out. So is that call going to be a push or is it going to be a diving toward the goal? Now I'll tell you, you kind of want to say don't just stay off his back, because if they call it a dive, and that's where you're going to see one coach is going to be yelling about this. Whichever way this goes, the other coach is going to be very unhappy, because this is a really tough one. So here we see, this is freshman Jack Ocken on defense against O'Keefe, and he dived. I'll tell you, that should be an unsportsmanlike.
And it is. The officials say the penalty is on Penn State. The Bulldogs bench erupted when they first saw the official signal, and this will be a man-up opportunity for the Bulldogs.
And Coach Tambroni quickly calls the official and says, "Can we talk? We have to look at this." And he's talking about this play, and that's but it's the right call. O'Keefe was going to the goal, right at the goal, and he dives, and everybody wanted the dive back. I wanted it back. It's an exciting play, but we have to protect these goalies. You can't have guys who are 180, 190 pounds are diving at a goalie. It's just not safe, and you have to have some kind of happy medium. I know people have not loved the way the dive rule has come in. There's been a lot of confusion, but that is one of those clear situations where a guy's running straight at the goal and dives.
60-second man-up opportunity for the Bulldogs. Nearly the entire shot clock, if Yale wants to use it, save 20 seconds. Under 8 minutes to play in this third quarter, and the Bulldogs hope to expand their lead to 2, just in front of the net. Knies goes up high to rip the ball down. Now it's a chance for Penn State, down a man, but really a costly turnover for Yale so early into that man-up opportunity. Never even had a chance, with the clock now at 20 seconds, but a turnover for the Nittany Lions, and now the Bulldogs, with 15 seconds on the man-up opportunity, will try to get something quickly.
And they've got numbers. They should try to,
pulled out by Ty. Now Dana Jealous with 5 seconds. Bulldogs just content to weave the ball around as the man-up opportunity ends for the Bulldogs. Penn State back to full strength. So no harm, no foul if you're the Nittany Lions. Did not allow a goal. In fact, controlled possession for a long enough time that kept Yale from generating anything during the man-up opportunity. Kotler went in front, now behind, before handing off to Morrill, now Ty. Jack Ty outside. Shot goes just over the bar, but backed up by Yale.
And that's where Ty loves to be. He loves to do that dodge from the side, get to the middle, get his hands free.
Morrill for the Bulldogs, under 30 seconds on the shot clock. It did not reset as the ball sailed wide of the net. Just in front, Matt Gaudette puts it in for the Bulldogs, and Yale retakes a 2-goal lead, 9-7.
So Matt Brandow, who didn't get the start today, but comes in, doing a great job, gets a step, draws the slide, and is able to find Matt Gaudette, who does not miss when he's in there, in that close.
Hat trick for Matt Gaudette, 3 goals, 2 in the first half, and a goal now for the Bulldogs with 6:33 to play in the third quarter. We've got a timeout on the floor. Bulldogs up 2. You're watching the Ivy League on ESPN+. The excitement continues in New Haven. Matt Gaudette notches his 3rd goal of the contest, leads to a Penn State timeout on the field. 6:33 to play in the third quarter. Pat Reed, the Bulldogs had a heartbreaker last week, losing in overtime to Villanova, but they have come back and look like a completely different program this time around.
This is a gut check week, and I'll tell you, talking to Coach Shea this week, they had a lot of guys who were sick. Most of the defense didn't play this week. I know we're not seeing Will Cabrera out there on the midfield who had an injury, but a lot of the guys, there were a bunch of guys with the flu, And I think they were a little bit concerned about what are we going to see from these guys. But this team has responded. Everybody stepping up. Who's going to be the guy? And you look to the guy to the left, you look to the guy to the right. Are they going to respond? And they are all responding.
Well, that guy right there, number 44 in white, Matt Gaudette, was battling flu-like symptoms during the week, did not practice on Thursday for the Bulldogs, but it doesn't seem to have hurt him at all. 3 goals out of the 9 for Yale, and Yale leads Penn State 9-7.
And Gaudette is over. He's getting in Colby Canise's head. He's over there. He's chirping at him back and forth.
That's a lot of the game, too. It's a lot of mental battles in lacrosse. Another win for TD Ireland, nearly unstoppable in the X against Penn State, a team that had come in with one of the best face-off winning percentages in the country. In fact, Gerard Arceri, who's taken a majority of the face-offs for Penn State, was leading the country in face-off win percentage, but I think that will change, Pat, after today's game.
Yeah, but there's a lot of time left, and like we saw last week, TD Ireland did a really great job, but
Sessa in front, what a pass. Jackson Morrill, usually the assist man, nets his first goal of the contest, and the Bulldogs are the first to reach double figures. It's 10-7.
Joey Sessa with just a great cross-crease pass, sees Morrill on the back door, and just a great finish. Morrill catches the ball, takes a step upfield to increase his angle and get away from the check, and he's able to put that right past Canise.
4 assists and a goal for Jackson Morrill. 5 points for him in this contest. Joey Sessa notches his first point of the day, an assist to Morrill. Well, there's 2 names for this Yale Bulldogs team this year, and without them, the success we've seen today and the great start they had last week before falling to Nova wouldn't be possible. And it all starts with TD Ireland and Jackson Morrill. They've been instrumental in Yale's 3-goal lead so far today.
And that's the first face-off win for Penn State in a long time. And then they gave it up on the ground ball, but Yale, with that sloppy turnover, gives the ball right back to him. And that's something, a lot of time left in this game. You've got a very high-powered offense in Penn State. You can't give up the ball this much. It will come back to haunt you.
That's exactly right, Pat, is when these guys for Yale on the sidelines look up at the scoreboard, they'll see roughly 5 minutes to play, but that's 5 minutes to go in the third quarter. So you've still got roughly 20 minutes of game time to go against a really high-powered team like we've been talking about. Penn State averages 20 goals per game, so they are entirely capable of making up this 3-goal deficit and then potentially putting a beat down on Yale.
And here's DeMuth again, one-on-one. Good physical play. Oh, you know what? I don't know if I agree with that one. He's going to say he came up high, but I got to tell you, Ament really kind of leaned into that.
Well, Ament sold the penalty well enough. Bulldogs fight for it and finally touch the loose ball, knock it out, and that leads to a man-up opportunity for the Penn State Nittany Lions.
I think Chris Fake could have scooped that ball up, but he wanted to remind the official to watch out for flying balls there. And again, this is one of those things that Yale needs to come back, and their man-down defense has to step up here. You can't bring them in. And here comes Coach Shea coming over, and I'm sure he's saying to Ament, you played great. You did a great switch there to pick up Ament and then get a nice physical play. Rode up a little high. Ament, like we said, he's 5'9". He kind of leans down a little bit, and he gets called for the hold, but a good defensive play there.
Bryce DeMuth whistled for the penalty, first year for the Bulldogs, so just some coaching from Andy Shea as he acclimates to college lacrosse, and it doesn't make a difference. Penn State answers right away. Mac O'Keefe notches another and then comes up a little limp.
Yeah, and that's everybody in the Penn State sideline excited about the goal, but then got real quiet. And you can't let Mac O'Keefe sit in the middle of your zone, and when you're running with 2 guys in the Penn State running with 2 guys in the middle there, he's just a dangerous shooter there. And he's looking like it's probably just a hamstring. A little tight. It's a cold day out.
O'Keefe gets the assist from Ament, his 5th assist of the competition. O'Keefe has 4 goals. It's been a great 2-week span for Mac O'Keefe. He was named Big Ten Offensive Player of the Week after his performance against Stony Brook, which Penn State won 17-4. And in that game alone against Stony Brook, Mac O'Keefe had 7 first-half goals in that 17-4 victory.
And the official is conferring, trying to figure out what the issue is, which way the ball was going to go, and it ended up being a push on Penn State, so Yale gets the ball.
Yale leads by 2, 10-8 with 4 minutes to play in this third quarter. It's been a back-and-forth battle. It was tied 4-4 after the first quarter was over. Since then, it's been a little bit more of a defensive struggle with the occasional spectacular goal for each side. Ty outside with Kotler. Nowhere to go. Ty again. And underneath to Brandaw. Brandaw circles near the crease. Now Jackson Morrill for the Bulldogs.
With a short stick on him.
Just one-on-one, spins back to his left. Now has to turn upfield. Crossfield pass to Ty. Around the cage, long possession for Yale, still 20 on the shot clock. Morrill inside, loose ball, penalty flag in the air. Penn State picks it up, but Yale will be man up.
Yeah, I think they're going to get him on a hold there, and a good call. Morrill had the ball in the stick. You see him catch the ball in the middle, and then you see the hold come down. Now that I look at it again, that was a pretty quick. It hit him with a slash. I'm sorry, I thought he said hold. Either way, that's one of those calls. I've seen it get called. I've seen it not get called. That's in this game. So.
Well, this is the second minute-long penalty that Penn State has had to face in today's game. The Bulldogs couldn't convert on the first man-up opportunity with 60 seconds, and now they'll get another shot with 3 minutes to play in the third quarter. Bulldogs had an early turnover in that last 60-second man-up chance. So far, crisp passing for the Bulldogs. Back in front, and a quick goal. Scored for Yale. Brendan Rooney notches his third, and he's got a hat trick. And the Bulldog lead is back up to 3, 11-8.
Two dangerous inside guys for Yale, and Rooney just gets a good step inside, and you can see he came out before because he came up a little bit, limping a little bit after his goal in the second quarter, and here still comes up. Look, you can see he's not 100%, but really just great hands inside. Great inside finisher for Yale.
This Bulldog team, Pat, that we've seen throughout the second quarter and now for a majority of the third quarter, I think is the team that most expected last week against Villanova. This is starting to look like that national champion type team. Jackson Morrill has 5 assists. That's always key to a victory for Yale. Just try to get him as involved as possible. And now all these face-off wins for TD Ireland leads to more opportunities.
Oh,
beautiful takeaway for the Nittany Lions, and they give it right back. Here's Gaudette, full head of steam, but runs out of room as 2 Nittany Lion defenders close off his path.
Yeah, just a couple of really great heads-up plays by both teams. Guys seeing a ball coming through and just getting their stick in the passing lane and picking it off.
Outside with the captain, Danagelis. Now Sessa. Sessa just such a quick, shifty player, but that time can't outrun his defender. Game clock down to 1:40, shot clock at 40. Sessa brings down the high pass. Danagelis on the other side for Yale. Into the middle. Thought about a lefty shot, switches back to the right to find Ty. Inside, Morrill, shot blocked.
Great trail check by the Penn State defense there, just to knock that. That was Morrill wishing he had that one back.
70 seconds to play in the third quarter. It's a 3-goal lead for Yale on number 2 Penn State.
And this is really where Yale as a program likes to be. They're not used to being that. They weren't used to being that number one team. I don't think they liked it. They like playing with a chip on their shoulder that somebody telling them they're better than them, and they like to come out and prove themselves.
Chance for Penn State. Shot clock more than halfway done. Game clock under 40. Right in front of the net. Loose ball picked up. Shot goes wide and out. Penn State there to back it up, however. 31 seconds on the shot clock, 34.6. And now they'll reset the shot clock. They said that was a shot on net. So the Nittany Lions can hold for the final shot if they choose to. Ament, where will he go? Back behind the net. Rayum works his way in front. Nowhere to shoot, however. Pass back outside. Spillane. Back to Ament, just in front. Shot blocked, and the rebound is there and in.
No,
the official
goal,
wave it off inside the crease.
Great initial save by Jack Starr, and if he doesn't make that initial save, obviously there's a goal there, but that also forces the attackman into the crease. What a huge play and a huge switch. So we see great defense by Weitzel, initial save, and wow. What a great job by Jack Starr keeping this team. And we talk about it in a close game like this, when you can make those kind of key point-blank saves, it gives your team's momentum and gets you back into it and re-energizes your team.
15 minutes to play. The number 6 Bulldogs lead the number 2 Nittany Lions on ESPN+. 15 minutes to play in New Haven. That's the opening faceoff in the fourth quarter. Alongside Pat Reed, I'm Josh Hess. And Pat, this has been a battle back and forth. So much excitement. Number 6, Yale, with 11 goals. Number 2, Penn State, has 8. This is a place Penn State has not been all season long. Usually they are well ahead of their opponents at this point, and now they have to play catch-up against the defending national champions. Quakers work quickly. Shot goes just by the cage, but backed up properly. They'll keep possession.
And yeah, we saw there a great win for the Bulldogs. We see Will Renz just get his hands. He's got to get that shot out quicker, and he wailed a great trail check by the Penn State defense. And Renz was a little bit slow coming up, didn't find the guy, and now Penn State looks to capitalize.
The Nittany Lions, not the Quakers. Good defensive stand from Yale there to force a turnover. Well, you mentioned it, Pat. This is a Yale team that maybe wants to play with a chip on their shoulder this season. Last year when they lost to Villanova, they ended up winning the national title. This year they lost to Villanova in overtime to begin the season a week ago right here. And they open up the fourth quarter with a goal. Matt Brandaw scores his first, and Yale leads by 4.
And a great individual play by Brandow. Gets the ball at X. Defenseman hung up, starts going. Uses the pick, gets a step around. Nobody's there for him, and he's just going to turn and shoot.
This is a spot Penn State is really uncomfortable in. Jeff Tambroni, the head coach, has led them to plenty of big victories, and one that may be a close one later tonight, a 7 p.m. start. It's rivalry week in college basketball. The Harvard Crimson had a heartbreaking loss yesterday at Brown. Yale had a dominating win last night at home against Dartmouth. Yale and Harvard meet tonight at the John J. Lee Amphitheater, 7 o'clock start on ESPN+.
TD Ireland continues to just put on a clinic. Like you said, he is just fantastic, winning the ball out to himself. And I've been really impressed that not only if there's not a clean win, he's able to do the little things where if it's a win for the other team, he's able to tie him up and just hold on to that possession, help Yale get a possession back.
It's almost a disadvantage for the opponent having to go up against TD Ireland following a Yale goal. Seems like Yale has a chance to double up those opportunities nearly every time. And another chance just in front. Jackson Morrill scoots it by Knies. The Bulldogs do go back-to-back and now lead by 5.
I don't know when Jackson Morrill became this inside finisher, but it's a great job. And look, he gets Brandow behind and able to feed it right to Jackson Morrill, tiptoes that crease. adding to his game, making himself a better attackman. Just such a outstanding attackman and a threat in so many different ways. He's just doing a great job for this Yale offense.
Penn State averages 20 goals per game, the fewest they've scored this season, 17. And there you can just take a look at Jackson Morrill. He's been a point machine for Yale despite the loss last week and has come out really strong this week.
Yeah, 40 goals, 32 assists last year. Really benefited more in that goal scoring spot from having Ben Reeves with him. But now he's stepping up and getting the assists. But you're seeing him create offensive opportunities in all new ways. It's just a real highlight for that Yale offense.
Bulldogs have controlled for the opening portion of this fourth quarter. Almost 2.5 minutes in the books, and the Bulldogs have already scored a pair. Back across, shot goes wide, backed up by Yale. That was Lucas Kotler aiming for his second. Well, with standing room only last week, Pat, and the fans left disappointed with an overtime loss for Yale. Number 2 Penn State in town this week. Once again, standing room only, and this Yale offense has really started to take over. Pass across gets deflected down. Bulldogs keep possession with 35 on the shot clock.
Ted Forrest, good ground ball there.
Forrest gets it right back. Does have an assist already today. Forced across. Now passes wide, and the shot right into the waiting stick of Colby Canese.
Great save by Colby Canese there, and that's a huge stop. The Penn State defense needed that stop, and now the Yale ride is here trying to create a turnover, which they're able to do.
A bad pass turnover, chance for Yale, and they give it right back. Canese was well off his line and goal. Could have been an easy goal-scoring opportunity for Brandaw. Instead, now the Nittany Lions run the other way.
And you're going to go for that shot and take that risk, fire that pass into Matt Gaudette, because if he can finish there, that's going to really just set this place on fire.
Yale up 5. Door is starting to close for Penn State. Strong defense from Yale. Spillane has to pass out. Another opportunity and a shot just past the shoulder of Jack Starr. Dan Rayum, the redshirt freshman, puts Penn State back on the board.
And a lot of time left in this game, and if Yale that was a real big defensive breakdown there where you see Forrest gives him up and nobody picks him up. You got to talk defensively and say, hey, if you're going to switch, you get through that. There's a pick there. You got to get through. If you call switch and that guy doesn't pick him up, that's what you leave. You leave an offensive midfielder, hands-free right in front of your net. Defensively, not something we expect to see from Yale. They're going to have to clean that up. There's still a lot of time left here for Penn State.
11:04 to play. It's a 4-goal deficit now for the number 2 team in the country. Yale was the preseason number 1 following a loss last week to unranked Villanova. They dropped to number 6, but a victory here would definitely rise their number in the polls next week.
And a violation there, so giving Penn State the ball back and a lot of time, and if they can get some momentum here, string together another goal, string together 2 or 3, you really risk giving them the momentum at the wrong time of the game.
Jack Kelly across, still has possession. Nittany Lions do connect. Back-to-back scores for Penn State. Nick Spillane brings the Nittany Lions into double figures. We've got a 3-goal game.
Great ball movement by Penn State. Able to find Spillane right in the middle. Wow, what a beautiful look and finish.
That's another assist for Grant Ament as well. Give him 6. First goal for Spillane, the senior from Franklin Square, New York. And now moments ago, Pat, it was crunch time for Penn State. Seems like the momentum has shifted a little bit, and it's time for Yale to take charge.
And this is where Arceri, Greg talked about having to change what you're doing, figure out what TD's doing. But TD Ireland able to win another face-off cleanly.
He's won over 3/4 of his faceoffs today. Doesn't matter who Penn State puts against him.
Freshman, passed the ball to freshman Jack Oken, who I was calling him Oken before. It's Oken, the freshman who's already getting good quality minutes this year.
Not a whole lot of space for newcomers in Andy Shea's lineup, but those who get the time are making good use of it through nearly 2 games. Sessa back up top. Ty to Kotler. Fires his shot, stopped. Knies up to the task that time. And it's been a much more active day for Colby Knies than it has been for Jack Starr. But both goalkeepers so far today, Pat, have really helped their team out. It could be a much different score.
Yeah, absolutely. And now we're going to see Penn State go on a little run. We a couple minutes ago we're talking Penn State's got to, they got to find a heartbeat, and they found one.
It was 13-8. They could make it a 2-goal deficit on this possession. Back across with Spillane. Just scored a few moments ago towards the crease. Bounces one. Penalty flag up. No goal. And it looks like it'll be a push right around the crease.
Yeah, so we're going to get a push on Jack Oken and the 30-second technical, but push him into the crease, so they blow the whistle dead, which is good because that was going right in the goal. So a foul that you don't want to take, but you'd rather take that foul than take the goal. But again, I'm concerned about that Yale defense. Loose ball right in the middle of 4 Yale defensemen. All ball watching. They got to make sure that they come up with that.
See how the special teams units do for both squads. 9:02 to play. 30-second man-up opportunity for Penn State, trailing by 3. The number 2 team in the country was on the ropes for a few moments, and they've battled their way back. Just in front, Spillane, crossfield pass, Starr blocks it, sends it wide, and run down by the Nittany Lions. TJ Malone now. Ament, high pass, low shot, and it's in for Nick Spillane.
And we got a ball game again. This one is getting closer and closer, and credit the Penn State offense for really getting themselves back into this. And you see just a good crossfield crease, crossfield feed through a couple of sticks. Huge play for the Nittany Lions.
The season high 7 assists for Grant Ament came in the season opener against Villanova. He now has 7 assists against Yale with 8:34 to play, and we're back to a 2-goal margin. Huge face-off between Arceri and Ireland. Ireland there once again, knocks it back towards his defensive half and then collects for Yale. Ireland clears out as Jack Ty subs in. Now, Pat, we've seen Yale on defense so often over the last few minutes of gameplay. What do you think their offensive strategy is here, knowing that they need a goal, but also knowing that they can't let Penn State back on offense too quickly?
Well, I think they go into every possession saying, let's just play Yale lacrosse. Everything they do is let's play Yale lacrosse. We're not gonna waste our time. We're gonna beat our man. We're gonna get a good shot.
Sessa off the post. The official does give the signal. Joey Sessa, a sidearm shot, post and in, and the Bulldogs retake a 3-goal lead.
Joey Sessa, one of my favorite Bulldogs to watch. He's just able to get his hands free, and a nice shot. Just that defenseman taking just a second too late to get there, and he's able to get that shot off. Great job.
Timeout down on the field. The Bulldogs have reclaimed a 3-goal margin. We'll be back with the rest of the fourth quarter after this on ESPN+. Back in New Haven, 7:45 to play in the fourth quarter. Handsome Dan likes what he sees so far. Number 6 Yale leads number 2 Penn State. Take a look at the upcoming schedule for Yale. They remain at home for a few more weeks. Pat and I will be back next week against UMass, and then Well, not at home, but a neutral site game against Michigan. Ivy League contests after that. Number 4 Cornell, number 20 Princeton as of now before Air Force comes to town.
Yeah, some very exciting games coming here to Reese Stadium, and I'm excited about next week with UMass. Always love to see the Minutemen come. Coach Cannella was, the head coach where Coach Shea worked at UMass before he came here to Yale. Just the relationship, and UMass always gives Yale a tough game.
And on the other side for Penn State, the game against Yale completes their 2-game road trip. They'll be back at home next week for an in-state matchup against Penn.
The Quakers.
Then, yes, the Penn Quakers against the Penn State Nittany Lions. Then a couple of neutral site games, Cornell and Jacksonville, before traveling on the road to Cleveland State and Maryland. Back in the face-off X, 14-11, number 6 Yale leads number 2 Penn State. The Bulldogs lost their home opener and season opener last week in overtime against Villanova, hoping for a different result this time around against the number 2 ranked team in the country. Penn State undefeated on the season. Their average margin of victory is the best in the country, plus 13.3, second best in the country. They're averaging 20 goals per game, opponents just 7.
And that face-off win for Penn State, really just something that they needed. This is where they need to figure out some way to get a face-off win, and that one is just a ground ball that scooted right into the box and kind of freed everybody up, and they were able to come up with possession.
A rare face-off loss for the Bulldogs, especially in this second half of play. Nittany Lions threatening, but turn it over. Now up ahead for Yale. Here's Tevlin. Tevlin gets wrapped up high. No call from the official as he continues to get hammered by Jack Kelly.
Yeah, that was on. I'm not sure how the that. I mean, it was all over his face mask. Helmet gets lifted up.
More physical play, and finally a penalty flag comes out. Delayed penalty now. Bulldogs can run the offense.
Yeah, that was a really rough slash. Joey Sessa, lucky there. I don't know if it came down. It sounded like it hit him on the head.
Got to look at that at the next stoppage here. There was a span there, Pat, of maybe 30, 45 seconds of just non-stop physicality from the Penn State defense, and somehow Yale continues to control, now under 6 minutes to play. Morrill. Kotler now. Lefty shot goes high and over. That does stop play and leads to a man-up opportunity for Yale. But we'll take a look back here at what caused the penalty.
Ground ball comes out. Joey Sessa comes flying through. And, look at that right on the head. You can see the shaft bend. Just a rough slash, and his teammates come. That's a great Yale play. You go in there. You know you're going to take the hit one way or the other, but they're going to go. And Joey Sessa, he does not back down. He got to meet and spend some time with him this winter. And John Danigelis and Danigelis, kind of gives him a hard time, but then, kind of pulls you to the side and said, smallest kid, the toughest kid on our team.
You talk about a hard penalty there. Sessa stands just 5'5". Not a whole lot of size, but a ton of heart. 1 minute in the man-up opportunity, but here's Penn State, a man down, nearly converted.
Yeah, bad, very costly turnover there for the Bulldogs. You got to get into this and take a little bit more time up. You can't give those, and that's just a guys not stepping out of the passing lane and moving to get open.
Man-up opportunity halfway done. Penn State content to just hold on. Yale coaching staff and bench is hoping that a few defenders will come up in the midfield area. Trying to force Penn State into a pass and cause a turnover. Just 15 seconds left, and this has been a great kill for Penn State.
Yeah, a huge play. And one that you got to mark that if Penn State's able to come back into this, that's really going to be just huge with under 5 minutes left.
Kelly back on following the man-up opportunity. Here's Penn State still on offense. They're down 3, looking for more. Ament behind. Inches his way towards the net and then backs off. Pass just in front, and what a chance that was for Spillane. Tried to go up and over his shoulder, no look. Penn State keeps possession.
Wow, and they're going to call interference on Yale and reset the clock and give them back the ball. Not sure where that play was.
Shot clock did reset. Loose ball on the floor.
And that was a great defensive play by Bryce DeMuth there to get it.
And another whistle comes. Jeff Tambroni not happy at all with the officials, but we've got a timeout with 4:02 to play. Bulldogs still lead by 3. Penn State, though, starting to garner a little bit of momentum, and it all started with that huge turnover early on in the Yale man-up opportunity.
Yeah, and comes down, they get a good possession, get a couple of good looks. Ament with a good feed inside, but again, Bryce DeMuth was right on his hands. We always tell guys, don't lose your guys, and when that pass comes in, you got to throw a check down. He got right on the hands, and that caused the ground ball. Once Penn State got possession again, it was really kind of unsettled. Coach Tambroni knows 4 minutes left. He's got to get his offense together. So he calls that really quick timeout and says, "Hey, let's get a goal. We need to build some momentum." 4 minutes, plenty of time to get 3 goals for this Penn State offense, but they got to start now.
I saw a quick game reset there for the Bulldogs and Nittany Lions, and the main story I think that you can really look at, Pat, is just the differential in face-offs won for Yale. It's close to 100% for the Bulldogs. TD Ireland has just been dominating. Every once in a while Penn State does win a face-off, but Yale has just taken Penn State out of their rhythm. The Nittany Lions, as I mentioned earlier, have scored 12 and 15 consecutive goals over their last 2 games. There is the updated game summary, 24-5 in terms of faceoffs. Penn State just hasn't been able to establish their rhythm.
Yeah, and just, again, we talked about TD being this huge transfer. I don't think anybody, I didn't expect him to come in and be this good. He's had games where he's been perfect, but going this well against the guy who really had the highest faceoff percentage in the country coming into the day.
And in case you can't do the quick math, it's about 83% for Yale on faceoffs won. So not 100%, but at 83%, it's very hard for Penn State to garner any offensive momentum right out of the X. They've been doing a lot of it off of turnovers, and the defense for Penn State, I think, has been their strongest element today, Pat.
And the great thing to say is that
got another penalty. Looks like a hold will be called on Yale.
Yeah, hold on. Yale has controlled the faceoffs today, and they're still only up by 3. That tells you how good this Penn State team is. And talk about battling through something that you just don't expect to see. They have not seen a game where they have, been out-faced off like this, and they're still right in it. And here's a big moment. 30-second penalty with 3.5 minutes left. Really, how's this going to affect the momentum? Are we going to see a kill, or are we going to see a goal and bring it to a 2-goal game?
14-11, 3:20 on the clock. Number 6 leads number 2. Open lane there, and now the Nittany Lions take it and convert. Mac O'Keefe again. He's got 5 for Penn State.
Good ball movement. You see a skip pass getting up to him right up at the ball movement, getting it up to O'Keefe at the top. And one more, and then he's just able to get time and room from up top.
Now 5 goals for Mac O'Keefe may sound like a lot, but he scored 14 goals over the 3 games prior to today, so he's averaging right around 5 goals per game. That's what Penn State needs from him. If they want to continue climbing back, he's going to have to keep setting a new season high. 5 goals right now as he goes for more. Penn State down 2 with 3:13 to play.
Penn State chipping away at this, chipping away. 4 out of the last 5 goals they score. Now the ball's coming free.
O'Keefe, by the way, came into today's contest with 100 career goals, now up to 105, and a big win for Penn State defensively. Under 3 minutes. With 5 seconds to spare, the Nittany Lions move into the offensive zone. Uncontested, Shot goes high and wide. A dive for the loose ball given to Yale, and Penn State can't believe it.
Wow, and that's a close call, and the fans know that's a huge play, but really Penn State, you've got to get that shot backed up.
That was a wide open look for the long pole, just nowhere to go. Just lost the shot handle, and Penn State searches for the ground ball, still fighting for it.
And Yale failing to advance, so that ball's going to go the other way. And
that's part of the new shot clock rule. You have 20 seconds to get it across the midfield stripe. Now with 2:08 to play, Penn State back in control.
And Weitzel had at some point maybe just a little bit, or even just fire it down the field, make it a 50-50 run ball in the corner.
And use some clock as well, but now the Nittany Lions threatening offensively again, just over the crossbar. Another hard shot from Nick Spillane. He's looked very good in this second half for Penn State. And now we've got a timeout called by Andy Shea and the Bulldogs sideline. What an intense final few minutes this is turning out to be, Pat. Bulldogs 14, Nittany Lions 12. What do you see coming out of this timeout? It's such a general question, but really Penn State has got so much of the momentum on their side right now.
Well, they do, and I would expect them to do what they've done all game, the things that have been successful for them. Give the ball to Grant Ament, set a two-man game, a pick right at the end line. Chris Fake has had a really tough time with that, with getting the switch and being able to keep a step, and then look for the guy inside. And the Yale defense has to, whoever is inside, just has to make sure they get a check on those hands and knock that ball down. But Yale, again, we're seeing them really struggle with these turnovers in this game, and that has been kind of getting them back in this game. And so we see Penn State able to create this run, and we're going to see right here.
And it's just been goal after goal. A couple of turnovers for Yale has led to Penn State chances. There's Joey Sessa right before the Penn State run, but ever since then it was all Nittany Lions.
Yeah, we see ball movement on the man down. Great high to low shot, getting Jack Starr moving. One more on the man down. A nice time of room from up top. Penn State is just such a dangerous team, and we looked at Yale had a 5-goal lead, and it's just they're chipping away at it. And credit to the kind of guys that are brought in on both teams. But Penn State, you're down those goals, and you just don't give up. You fight back, and you're making it a game. You're making it a game. I think what a great way to respond to that adversity.
Penn State scored the first 2 goals in the first 2 minutes of this game. Everybody was thinking, this could turn into a blowout. And since then, the Yale Bulldogs have rebounded spectacularly and now lead 14-12 with 1:45 to play. Chance for Penn State. Shot goes wide, backed up by Yale, and the Bulldogs control.
And that's a huge play by Brian Tevlin. Great job, able to create space now, and now a really tough situation. They've got to get this ride. They've got to get this ball cleared.
They got 10 seconds to do so. And if they can, Yale can control for most of these final 90 seconds. Still 4 seconds.
You got to throw that ball down.
And that's exactly what Starr does, backed up by Yale, but instead it goes the way of Penn State.
Oh, you know what, though? I'll tell you, and I'm going to say that the refs, that was 100% Jack Starr shooting at that goal. 100%. You had a wide open net. He's shooting at the goal, and Yale backed it up. That ball should have gone to Yale there.
70 seconds to play. Penn State needs 2 goals. And we've got a timeout called by the Nittany Lions sideline. Pat, that was a great catch there, just to look at the situation from a larger perspective. Now, a lot of the fans, of course, for Yale agree with you. Penn State fans may not agree with you, but when you look at the larger scheme of where players are positioned on the field, what the shot clock rule does, Starr was just forced.
You've got a 10-man coming from Penn State, so the goal's empty because everybody's covering somebody so that Jack Starr doesn't have anybody to pass to. And once he sees that, you look, the first look that you have, your check down, you see, hey, there's nobody in the goal. I'm going to shoot that. Jack Starr, that ball went right over the net. So to me, Maybe it wasn't right over the net, but it was very clearly he's shooting on the net. It just went high. And I think, if I'm inside the box and I shoot high, it should be called a shot. If I'm outside the restraining box, I'm at the midfield, that's what he's doing. And I think, you saw Joey Sessa, boom, went to pick up that ball because he knew, he's like, hey, this should be my ball. And there's Walter.
He's getting nervous down there.
Walter never gets nervous. National championship game, Walter was asleep on the field. I wish I could sleep as well as Walter sleeps.
14-12, Yale leads coming out of this timeout. 1:06 to play. It's been a back and forth, exciting affair. Bulldogs lost their season opener last week at home, 11-10 in overtime to Villanova. Penn State has been a freight train through their first 3 games of the season. Average margin of victory over 13 goals. The lowest goal total for them this season has been 17, and the Bulldogs have been up to the task. 14 for Yale, which is a new season high against Penn State, and they've held the Nittany Lions to a season low.
And this is a huge defensive stand for Yale and a huge play for both teams. Yale has to find a way to stop this offense. I'm surprised Penn State isn't going to start with the ball right in the stick of Grant Ament.
Need to find 2 goals over the final 60 seconds. Ament behind the cage, makes a move, turns, fires, scores!
And Chris Fake is livid with himself. He went behind and he got caught up on the back of the net and he was just so upset. But Grant Ament just so shifty. And now we look at the goal, goes behind. You see Chris Fake goes out there, he dives after it and just isn't able to get ahead. Great job by Ament. But we're going to go to the X now, and we are going to see the biggest face-off of the game.
It all comes down to this between Yale and Penn State.
And you don't see Arceri out there, which is very surprising, but it's just such a huge face-off because it doesn't matter what's happened the rest of the game. If you win this face-off, this is what matters.
Nick McAvoy in place of Arceri. TD Ireland wins it for Yale. 45 seconds to play. Bulldogs up a goal.
And now Tevlin's got to run and get into that box because I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't call a time, if Coach Shea doesn't call a timeout. And there's the timeout from Coach Shea. 36 seconds left. You got plenty of time on that shot clock. He's got to. They're just going to run the ball.
Yeah, well, they don't even have to take a shot with 68 seconds on the shot clock, 36.6 on the game clock. The onus right now is on Penn State to come up with a turnover. Grant Ament, who just scored that last goal, it is a 9-point game for him right now. He's got 2 goals and 7 assists, contributing to 13 overall goals for Penn State. 14 goals for Yale, though, and the last 36.6, well, the most important 36.6 today.
Yeah, and I'm just going to say, I think he's going to be a first-team All-American this year in Grant Ament. He has been fantastic. If he can keep this up, I mean, the numbers, he's just doing such a great job, and is just such a threat, creates so much. You look at any game where they're not losing 90% of the faceoffs, and it's going to be a different score.
You got to give a lot of credit today to Jack Starr and the rest of the Yale defense as well. We're talking about these Penn State goal totals throughout the season, 17, 20, and 17. And for Yale right now to hold Penn State to 13, that could possibly be their final goal total. Depends on what happens over the next 36.6 seconds. But that in itself is a major victory for this Yale team. And it also proves to the rest of the country, as good as Penn State has been, they are beatable.
Absolutely. And this Yale, right now, it's going to, again, be an interesting call. We've talked over and over again about what does Yale do without Ben Reeves. And this would always really be a situation where you give the ball to Ben Reeves and you have him run. We saw that in the national championship game. We saw in a lot of opportunities he had last year. But who's going to go and take the ball? I see Joey Sessa running over there, and I wouldn't be a bit surprised if it's him. He's just he's a tank. He's a tank. I think about the play in the national championship game when he was able to maintain, tiptoe the sideline and run. He's just such a great player.
Earlier in the week, Andy Shea said that Penn State may be the most complete and best team in the country. His team, the Yale Bulldogs, were the preseason number 1. How do these two teams do over the final 25 seconds of play? Sessa swarmed, lost it, still loose. Bulldogs pick it back up. Brandaw, the first year for Yale. 10 seconds to go now. Desperation time for Penn State. Out of bounds. And a chance for the Nittany Lions with 8.6 to play.
A lot of time. Oh,
On a deflection right away. Clock starts. No time for the Nittany Lions. Last chance heave. Well wide. And the number 6 Yale Bulldogs take down the number 2 ranked Penn State Nittany Lions.
what a excellent, complete game for the Yale Bulldogs. And I was really concerned when I watched the beginning of this game. They always come out and really show a bunch of emotion at the beginning of the game in the pregame, and they came out and they were very quiet. They weren't hooting and hollering. They weren't jumping around, and they saved that for this celebration. They saved that energy for the celebration. What an outstanding job of them to just dig deep. They went down 2 goals quick, and everybody, myself included, kind of thought Penn State was going to run away with it again, and they clamped down and they played great defensive Yale lacrosse and got contributions from everybody on the field, none bigger than I think TD Ireland.
Penn State really came out firing. They set Yale on their heels early. TD Ireland, though, of course, helped that cause as well. And overall, I think this was a much more confident team than what we saw against Villanova last week for Yale. And now they're back in that number 1 type form.
Yeah, this is the team that we all expected to see. I think this is the game we hope to see from these two teams that are really both Final Four quality teams. It's an exciting thing. I really hope that we get to see these two teams face each other again in May.
Well, final score 14-13. Not the most convincing win for the Yale Bulldogs, but nonetheless they take down the number 2 team in the country. So for our entire crew and Pat Reed, I'm Josh Hess saying so long from New Haven, Connecticut, where the final score is Yale 14, Penn State 13. All games airing on the ESPN networks are streaming live and archived on the ESPN app. This has been a presentation of ESPN.